Hi guys, we are pretty deep into this session and we haven't had too much joy yet. And so I've been playing somewhere between an A and B game. So I'm just turning the camera on now and just going to try and zone in and step up to an A game. Did just have a coffee before, so hopefully that helps. I think I'm going to flat top left, and I think I'm going to bet kind of small bottom middle. Just going to try and sort of bottom middle there. I think if a bet small and then check, it's probably an okay line, because he probably floats a bit, and he might sometimes have a hand that he thinks is now the best and bet anyway, like ace-5 or pocket eights or something. And I'm just going to go ahead and raise and play this one fast top left, because this guy could just be a huge fish, and it's probably actually a good chance that he is. There's a lot of fish out and about. I mean, King Queen's not impossible, but he could have, 9-10 pocket tens. You could have King 10. You could have just played a big pair weird. You could just have like ace 10 with a heart, or even 10 queen with a queen of hearts, or you could even have 7-4 and a flop to flush, but we fell up, so it's just like, all right, he can have anything. He can have anything. 2-3 of hearts. Yeah, but that's just, and you guys would have seen a bit of that earlier, I think, and that really has just been the order of the day, is that guys just showing up with any two cards. And I think bottom middle, the plan has been to go into this check call mode, and obviously we've got a nice board run out, so we can never fold. I still this guy hasn't been too loose. So the float plan, we should have the best hand most of the time. And the float plan, has paid off this time. So just that nice sort of 1/3 size pop bet on the flop, just to get the player to sort of go, hey, I'm not sure you have anything here, and get a little bit creative on us. In reality too, a lot of the times we won't actually have anything on that flop. But I actually probably double barrel a lot there if we don't. Obviously not very balanced, but against that player there, I'm probably going to actually barrel a fair bit on the turn. And if we do have the hand, I'm just going to check and let him bluff. So it's just a lose-lose situation for him, really. Because when we're betting, he's probably folding, and when we're checking, he's just donking off and giving us chips. So that's just the way it goes. I was a little bit worried this might happen top middle. I really was. We've just got this M10. It's just please 3-bet me type stack. And these guys behind are all pretty capable of 3-betting, I think. I don't really have any notes on them actually, but just their stats are all kind of, just what you would expect from just decent, not good, but just decent online players. And so having said that, I don't think, let's have a look here, 3-bet by position button. It's only 5% versus 3-bet versus position, versus cutoff 13 versus middle, it's low. I just don't think he's wild enough for me to want to try the jam there, even though we do have that nice stack size 4 open and then jamming. Open tight 4-bet light would be, the expression I use sometimes is probably pretty appropriate there, but not quite, because I just don't quite think, if we run into ace-jack, king, ace-queen, ace-10, kings or whatever, and eights, there's a few hands we're not doing too bad against, but I just feel it's a bit of a spew, if he rolls ace-queen and we stack off there, I just feel it's a little bit of a spew, to be honest. He just doesn't have the right stats, and it is pretty close to the bubble, though we are short. But we're 12 or 15 and top 12 get paid, and of course it's a 33, 2 rebuy, 1 add-on, so it's still a 100-ish, 106 for 12th. And that's another good reason for him to 3-bet as well. So it's very close. 10 queen. Yeah, I mean, it's just if you've watched some of my older videos, you know 10 queen is just the hand that I hate. Queen 10, queen 9 are my most hated hands in the game of No Limit Hold'em. And with good reason. I mean, they're just often dominated. They're just very often dominated. And they're just kind of in that middling zone too, where when they are dominated, there's always a chance you're going to give value. You know, I mean, if you have queen 2 and flop top there, I mean, it's a heavy action. It's pretty easy to get away with a 2 deuce kicker, but when you've got the queen 10, you're sort of getting in that middling road where, you know, depending on the situation, obviously, but just general speaking, your kicker's sort of that middling, dangerous one where you might actually call and give some value. What are we going to do bottom right? I guess we're just going to fire and hope to pick up a probably a jack, queen, ace, king, or club on the turn. And we don't. We get the 7. I think I'm going to try a little steal here. And I guess I'm going to check there now. We could have the best hand some of the time. He might have ace queen or ace jack and check back, but he has gone ahead and fired. So that's kind of annoying. I mean, he could actually have, I guess, 9s or 5s, or could have floated some of the time. He's actually very loose, this guy's stats. I guess he could even have a 7 or 8 based on these stats, how loose he is. So I think I'm just going to fold here, but it's kind of annoying. It's getting a pretty good price, and we could sometimes have the best hand and have a bit of equity nonetheless. So I hate relinquishing the equity there, but I'm going to go ahead and do it. It looks like top middle here, this guy's thinking what he can do. He's a very good player. It looks like he's trying to think how can he might go for a mini 3-bet here. That'd be pretty sexy. Make it 36.80 or something. I think it's a pretty good spot for it. He may even just have already gone on break and not realized he's still sitting in this table. Let's hope it's that, and not the fact that he's going to 3-bet a small, because we obviously can't call. He might be thinking that you know, it's almost bubble, and we have a pretty good stack size for opening. M9, it's a pretty good stealing stack size from early. I think the most annoying thing about this spot is if the small blind jams us, because he's only M6, but we still have to fold, but and it gets through, so that's good. So we're just hovering around M10-ish there. You know, the difference from that and the last spot is that we're just a little bit shorter, so it's a little bit harder for players to 3-bet us. It's a little bit more awkward, and we're in an earlier position, so there's just less chance of being perceived as just stealing. So break time. I think I'll just pause this one. Just pause the video for a moment and be right back with some action, guys. So this full tilt 26 just popped up. It's actually, is it multi-entry? Let's see here. Yeah, it's a, what would they call it? You can rebuy if you're bossed. Second chance. That's the word I'm looking for. So not really a re-entry, just a second chance. But I would have bought in both times, and you know, I think if it's a tournament that's positive EV for you, then you want to do that. It's not going to be the max EV. I mean, what I mean by that is, say it's a, you know, say this $26 buy-in, we can have multiple, you know, entries. Say we can do up to 4 entries. Each entry you lose a little bit of EV because you can't win more than once, you know. So in fact, you can't even get top pay more than once. You can't even final table more than once. So that's going to affect your ability to get a big score. So you can only ever get one big score, despite how many entries you have. So it's going to affect your EV. Yes, your chips do get added on, which is nice, but it doesn't compensate for the fact that you can, you know, get a big score. a second chance at a big score. You just have a bigger stack to have one shot at getting a big score. And so if you're going to just rebuy, if you're just trying to look at what's the best way to long-term profit from this tournament, well, how would I put it actually? If you just want to spend the minimum and get the maximum EV, yeah, you would just buy in once. But if you're looking to make money, you can still, just because it's reducing your EV doesn't mean overall it's still going to hurt your EV, because okay, your first EV might be let's just say your ROI is 20% in this tournament. I should be using the word ROI really, not EV. So let's just say in this tournament your ROI is 20%. If you rebuy a second time, your ROI might be 17, and then a third time it might go down to 15. But it's still 20, and then the other ones after that are going to be 15 or well, I mean, it's still going to be 15 across the board, is what I should say. I'm not explaining this very well. I'm probably confusing the hell out of people, but it's still going to be 4 entries at, let's say 4 entries at 15%, is going to be, if it's a $100 tournament, you're still going to make $15. But if you just have 1 entry, you might have an ROI of 25%, and you're going to make $25. So you can have the 1 buy-in and make $25. You can have the 4 buy-ins. You're only making $15 each one, but you're still making 60. So that's still going to be better than just having the 1 buy-in. And that's sort of a very rough way of kind of looking at it. And I haven't done the actual calculations to say exactly how much your ROI would be reduced on the as you take the extra entries. But I imagine it wouldn't be too vicious, because it's not actually really that often that you're both you're gonna have 2 stacks, at the end, and then at the same time they do merge, which is, obviously you'd rather have 2 stacks. You'd rather have 2 average stacks than 1 big stack, and I think that's pretty obvious from even just thinking of it from an ICM point of view. And your equity in the tournament. But yeah, it's not a catastrophic problem. But I think it is something just to be aware of. Because if you had to choose between entering a tournament a second time, or perhaps playing something else that's also good value, then you go for something else. Just in case that does kind of sneak in, guys, and you can see that, and you think, hey, he's on final table, why isn't he showing that? It's actually only a tournament where there was 34 runners, so it's only paying top 4, and it's only a $30 with 500 up top, $33 high-low. I might as well just leave it there anyway. Might get us motivated to make more final tables, because it's so pretty. Seeing the table is so pretty. Yeah. I think they could do more actually with the final tables. I mean, it's not really that special. I like the full tilt ones. Got like the crowd. I think it's a full tilt one. Has a crowd in the background, and 888. You get the special table, and then you get the money when it's heads up. That's pretty cool. You think Stars would do that sort of thing as well? Maybe have a few more sound effects, but they generally kind of keep it simple. But I mean, just keep it clean. But can't argue with that, because it's the best site hands down. I think I've really played pretty badly in the 888 poker today, and yeah, I think I just... I don't know, I mean, I if it's definitely annoying because the time bank's a bit less, and the warning for the time bank is pretty much sounds as your cards are folding. But sometimes I don't know if it's even just the colors, you know? I don't know. I think it's just because I had it off to the side. But for some reason, I don't know, when I PokerStars tables, I just seem to be more zoned in, and the 888, I just seem to be being an Autobot and just snap folding and just doing snap actions and not thinking things through carefully. But I think it was probably more so just that I had them way off to the side of my screens. So I tried to bring them in a bit closer. Give them some more attention. So I might even pop that one over there too. Because it's been a bad day on 888. I haven't even had a cash. And I have spent, I think, about 270, so... and I imagine these tournaments, though, would be pretty huge value. A little bit later in the day. We've got I'm the Nuts and Gene Gray here, a couple of good players. Definitely just want to go ahead and three bet this guy. I'm the Nuts, Chris Oliver, 4, 5, 6, and we have a lot of history too, so he could jam just about anything there. But he's raising 42% of buttons and just going to have trash a lot of the time. But if he's got like a suited ace or a couple of high cards or a pair, he's just going to shove it in. But he's probably got Queen 8 off. Yeah. Really need to make something happen in this top middle one. It's 12. It's only 1200 up top. That would be a bit of a save though, because it hasn't been a good day. So that would be a save. Probably pretty close there actually. May have been able to defend there, 3x. Yeah, I just got a bit carried away that it was a 3x UTG. But the guy's pretty loose and we're deep. So I think should have called there. Kind of sort of bottom left, he's donked half pot. There's like 3 players behind, so I'm going to make the fold there. Yeah, I mean, I just think it's going to be hard to proceed in that hand. I mean, we get raised behind a lot, or even if someone flats, we're in the middle there. We never really know where we're at. Our hand's not really the sort of hand that's going to improve a lot. I guess we can pick up some straight draw outs or that sort of thing, but top middle, we can't really speculate. We've only got M7 just over, and this guy's been fairly solid, so I'm not going to try anything too fancy there. And I think I'm just going to flat here, just going to flat Oliver in position with ace jack suited. I don't think there's too much need to 3-bet. You know, we're just going to fold hands that we're already beating and just get jammed on by hands that you know, have us beat. So mostly, or hands that we had decent equity against, like 8s and stuff. So I'm going to call, and then on this flop here, yeah, I mean, if there was a 9-10 or a diamond or something, I probably would have floated one, but it was 3-way as well, so I mean, I don't want to get too carried away. Still betting 70% though, Chris, so you know, it's going to be c-betting a lot on that board. This is obviously pretty aggressive, so yeah, these high-low players are just scary bad. They really are. Some of the stuff you see. I think it's really easy to justify playing a hand in that game. You know, like you've got like 10-10, 8-6, and you go, well, I've got 8-6, so I can make a low, and I've got pocket 10s. So, like, it's gross. It's gross stuff that you see. So hand for hand, and so I think I'm going to just do a cheeky little steal here. Very hard to get played back at here. Wow. I would almost say it's impossible. I mean, obviously, you know, they can wake up with a hand and jam on us, but in terms of actual, like, a light 3-bet here, yeah, I mean, it's almost impossible with M7. I mean, they'd have to make it like 39 or something, and it would just be too sick. It really would be. It would just be too sick. And so we get jammed on by the small blind, so he's probably got us completely crushed. Especially since when you consider it's the bubble, he's likely to be even tighter. And so we are going to fold, obviously. Pretty close here, but it's just a few too many players behind. Wow, what am I going to do here? We actually probably should have donk led this top left one. Actually should have gone with a donk lead there, I think. This was not played very well, this hand. But I think now we actually have to fold. You know, we could be almost dead for the high, and our low draw, it's just a draw that's pretty mediocre. But on the flop, you know, top pair and the low draw, I think is definitely good enough to get in. You know, considering the SPR obviously and the players and positions. I'm not really too worried about getting low stacked in the high-low. Not like I would be in the other tables. I think it's a game where you can generally run your stack down a little bit lower. The thing about it is it's not like No Limit where you jam M4 and you kind of got I think a lot of hands. Well, how would I say it? Think about this here. This one we're just going to get in because we're double suited and short, obviously. It's a pretty nice hand. 36. But yeah, high-low is a game that revolves sort of more around equities rather than fold equity and that sort of thing. Unlike No Limit where you can sort of, you know, use fold equity a little bit better. So we need a diamond and a low card, and well, actually just a diamond is the best. So we do get some chips there, so that's good. And the bubble hasn't burst. Otherwise, what would I have done here? Would I have called this 5, 6? Sorry guys, just got some hands here. Yeah, I'm just going to shove that in. Yeah, 28, 3, 4. Yeah, I would have called that. I think it's pretty marginal though, but I think I probably would have called that. The only reason I say it's marginal is just that we're never obviously in good shape. Threes, unless he happens to have deuces. But I just think we'd be so short. He's short. He's got hands like he had 10 jack. He's wide. I can't even believe he jammed that in the bubble. It's a bit suicidal. Yeah, I'm just trying to think what we want to do against this guy bottom middle. Just thinking how often he has 2s and 4s and 5s, or maybe like just a spaz with ace 10. And if it's enough to call, we're getting a pretty big price. It looks like he has 8, 9 or something like that, but we're just getting a really huge price. I don't think we can quite fold. He has ace 10, yeah. It looked like that, but you know, I see players do that with ace 10 and stuff. We saw ace jack, a player do that, you know, in the session yesterday where they're short and they just check jam on a pretty dry board. Yeah, I mean, it's just the way these guys play. He could roll king jack. We don't know too much about him. He hasn't been that loose on the hands we have, so maybe it was a mistake. Yeah, I mean, normally in a lot of spots like that, Well, not so much spots like that, but if we're a bit deeper, normally I sort of live by the rule, like at least sort of you want mid-pair top kicker. But in that sort of instance, I just think that with the SPR the way it was against an unknown, the top pair would have been a very easy call, and we were just sort of in that grey zone. I am going to call here. It's one of those grotesque calls that I like to make. And of course, when I say grotesque call, I'm referring to the fact that, you know, we really we really don't have a lot of chips left to play with. And you know, he's checked. I think it's kind of caught him by surprise. He's like, how does he just flat? He's only got like M, you know, what do you got, like M3.5, 4 or something. But you know, I think we've discussed this 4-5. I think I just shoved that one now. Well, he's been pretty tight though, but I just don't think we have too much choice. With 6s on the button, it'd just be too nitty, I think, to fold. And he does just snap fold. Interesting that he waited until the river to bet there. It's kind of weird. Maybe, you know, what the hell did he have? But yeah, just the pot odds when you're that short are just so overwhelming. And you need to be finding a way to win, get some chips. I think we can just call here against this guy in position with the 7s. We're getting a good price to speculate. We could have the best hand actually some of the time. It's pretty interesting when he checks. I am actually going to bet, I think. And, well, am I going to bet? Or am I going to check and then call turn? I might actually check because I guess any 5, 8, 3, spade, and 7, 4, 6, kings kind of good for us. It does kind of feel like he has queens a lot here. I don't really know if there's, I was just going to say if there's too much we can do on the club, but we do obviously get the one of the best cards for us, so I'm just going to bet. Pretty hard for him to put us on spades or a 7 really, so I think there's a lot of hands he might think we have, like ace-10 of clubs or something, or just even worse. So I think if he has a king or a big pair like queens, he's probably going to cry call. I think I'm just going to jam top left. These guys, he's only in the small blind, and our hand's not great, but the ace-king, it's important that we have the ace-king, and we do have a low possibility with the 7, so... you know, it was a decent... No, it wasn't a great spot, it was okay. So he did end up calling, and he actually had king-queen, so it's a good thing we didn't bet the flop, because it looks like he would have gone for a check raise, I would guess. He might have check called, maybe. But I imagine he would be check raising. Still kind of an interesting hand here, and this actually, I've been looking forward to this tournament today. I actually just this is a 320 Wednesday, and I just took kind of a weird line. It's actually donked out. I think, is that what I did? Yeah, I just dunked out small here. I think it's a move that you wouldn't want to use very often, but yeah, I mean, this guy's very loose, and I think he's a bit of a spew monkey, and I think he's just going to float us always and just spaz around once he gets donked into, because players hate getting donked into. So I'm just trying to get him to spaz out a bit, but at the same time, it is a little bit of a high variance route because it's a bit risky, because you know, if he raises, he puts us in a tough spot, obviously. And if he floats, you know, the pot becomes pretty bloated. But, you know, at the same time, our hand does need some protection. We normally have the best hand. And you know, if we know our opponent well enough to think that he's going to just spew monkey around, and but I mean, did he have King Jack though? So he did have, you know, I mean, an overcard and sort of a backdoor straight and stuff going. So and I'm just going to call again here. I mean, I don't think there's any point in jamming because we don't have any fold equity. So we might as well just call to hit some equity, and then just, I think we can just shove. And he's going to call here, I think, a lot of the time with like SPR1. Probably he's going to call with ace high and just think, well, he could just be called donking, doing a stop and go. Or maybe he's just got hearts. And having said that, he just folds. So he's probably got King 10 or something. Good card top right. And be interesting to see what he does here. We could have gone for a donk bet. He might think we do it with King Jack and spades. So I wouldn't necessarily say that it's you know, obvious. But I do think we're going to have to just raise now because there's a lot of draws. And it's just going to be hard out of position to get the money in if we don't. He is going to have to be kind of a bit of a fish, though, to give us too much value here. Well, not so much, but... Not so much, I guess. I take that back, but... I mean, it's hard to get a guy to get it in here with, like, King, Queen. Well, now it's not. not so much now. Not so much now that he'd have a full house. I'm just thinking here. Just thinking if it's better to bet or just check. I'm probably not folding if I check any bets, because he may have King Jack or spades himself, and you know, it's only 5,000 to call. So just thinking if it's better to check and just to check call and hope he might bluff, or to actually bet and hope he just calls down like a hero. And I'm kind of in two minds, but you know, I think he might just, if he's got aces, kings, or jacks, he might kind of spaz out here and just call anyway. So I think I'm just going to shove it in, and if he's got a queen, it's bad luck. But looks like he's got aces or kings, and you know, he might hero and think we had spades or king jack or jack 9, and I mean, I've seen a fish there will call with ace high, but that would be a pretty big fish. Well, epically sized, really. 3 M4. Yeah, I think I'll wait there.